Hello again, Sagittarius. It's February 2014. Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au with your monthly synopsis. What's happening in the heavens, the celestial mechanics of your life, if we could put it that way. Right now we see the close proximity of Mercury to Neptune. This can and often does produce a lot of confusion. Sometimes, in the extreme cases, some self-deception. And in your case right now, this is happening in the fourth sector, which is your domestic sphere. So I'm just wondering whether some of you are a little bit confused about where you want to live, who you want to live with, where you want to be, where you want to put your roots down. You know, the Sagittarian spirit's very, very restless by nature. And so when this combination takes place, especially in that sector, it's a very critical part of the horoscope. So confusion can set in as to, where you want to live, where you want to put your roots down. And, as we know, Sagittarius is a very free-spirited type of person. But for some of you, you may actually now in your life want to settle down, to find somewhere that's comfortable. I mean, how do you do that? This should not be a guessing game. I often advise my clients, if they're thinking of moving somewhere, go there for a while, take a holiday, rent a place for a month. I mean, take some long service leave if you have to. Do not just jump out of the pan and into the fire. If I could just relate a story, years ago I was selling one of my houses, and where we lived, we were getting the influx of a lot of Chinese buyers. It was quite interesting. One day I went outside and I saw a car parked out the front of my house, and there was a family of Chinese people just sitting there. Well, I didn't make too much of it. Went out for the day. Came back about 8 hours later, and would you believe, the car with the family of Chinese was still sitting there. And I went over and talked to them. I said, "Are you okay? I noticed you were here all day." They said, "Oh, we think we buy this house, but we want to study the environment, We want to know whether the dog next door bark or bite. We want to know whether we have the neighbor from hell." So you get the picture. They were there doing a scouting mission. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't just the house that they were going to buy and the move that they were going to make, and then discover that, as they said, the neighbours from hell. So the same thing with you. If you are thinking of making a move now, there's no rush. And particularly because this planet Mercury now is doing its what we call retrogression, the retrograde step. It'll be a dance that all these astrologers start soon. But when that planet is moving in its apparent reverse motion, then some of the decisions you make may not be based upon the facts that you need. That's why I'm suggesting to you, Sagittarius, you take a little bit of time and go and study the environment. And don't just study one, you need a comparative analysis. Go north, go south, go west, go east. Try a few different directions and see what works for you, because there is a whole other branch of astrology called astrocartography, which I'm not sure you're aware of. That tells us that for any person born at a specific time, there are different directions, different cities, different localities that are going to work for them. I'm labouring the point here, but I think apart from buying the house, this could even relate to just the geodynamic effects of where you live right now. You need to look at that. If you're feeling a little bit sort of devitalised, lacking in energy, it could have something to do with the way your furniture is placed, which direction you're sleeping. For example, I found with some of my clients, when they're sleeping near pipes, if their bed is backing onto the bathroom, then they don't sleep well and they lack in energy. Now, some of the important dates this month related to this planet, and as you can see, I like to focus on one particular theme for you. I mean, there's probably a lot of other stuff going on, but because this is just a synopsis, you can get more from me later, and I'll give you the information on that at the end. But this Mercury, dynamically moving through this fourth house, will, later in the month, move back into the sign of Aquarius around the 19th of February. And that, coincidentally, is the time when the Sun moves into this domestic sphere. So there's a bit of an exchange of places going on here. This third house, which is the Aquarius sector for you, relates to travel. So I see a lot of short journeys taking place. Now, could it be for the purpose of finding where you want to live? Maybe. Not for all of you, but certainly for some of you. But at least some of you will be doing a lot more traveling at this time. There's an element of curiosity in the last week or so of February. So you should avail yourself of that energy, because I think it's conducive to stimulating your mind, which, as we see there, is in the hard aspect, what we call a square aspect, to Saturn at the same time. So do take note of that. Actually, let me take a look at these transits here. I think I'm a bit ahead of myself. Just let me correct myself on that. The Mercury doesn't transit back into that third house, but it is in the hard aspect to Saturn, and that slows things down and makes you a little bit lethargic. So we need a bit of a stimulus here for you to get you out of your favourite couch at that time, Sag. We see the other important aspects taking place there with the Sun moving there. Sun conjoined to Neptune. Now that is a very imaginative placement. It tells us that your imagination can run wild, and probably will. But this is the time to not act impulsively. Take the ideas that you're feeling, balance that against some practicality, and then make your decisions. Last aspect I want to talk about has to do with Venus. This is generally the planet of love. It's in your second house of finance. So here we see maybe a high degree of expense, as well as earning a lot. You may be spending a lot just this time. We see Saturn in the 12th house. That, fortunately, will create a bit of economies of scale. It will make you think twice before you spend. But somehow right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm getting an intuition here that there could be someone you love, and you may want to spend a lot of money on that person. The date I'm getting for this is around the 25th of February. It might happen a little bit earlier than that, a little bit later, but around that date. No need to overspend. Remember, and I'll leave you with this thought, and that is, it's the thought that counts. So you don't have to spend too much. Hope to see you here next month. Yes, the astrocartography reports might be something you'd like to consider in the soul shop there at astrology.com.au while we're talking on the matter of where you're living, where you might be moving to. Your daily, monthly and yearly horoscope is also available there in more depth. I look forward to your company here next month. Take care. Bye-bye.